Hello.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that. That's still recharging.
Strange things ever, right? Strange things happen to me, that's all.
I can't cast that.
You guys don't see all these other people here, really?
That spell isn't ready yet.
Get the fuck on with it.
That's still recharging.
I got one mob right now, right? Saw a guy earlier doing battlegrounds or arenas, and he had an add-on that said, like right up, right where my mouse is currently, said like healers in crowd control or whatever, like right above his head, right here, where my mouse is. Keep pointing to it, like you guys can't see through my eyes. All right. I finally broke down, had a cup of coffee, just had one of them days, man. It's this time of year, just it's rough. That's all. So I'm just like slugging through it.
I can't cast that. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that. That's still recharging.
I mean, there's nobody. Like, here's the thing. Like, all my family depends on me for shit, right? And I can't be that guy right now, and it sucks. And not only that, like the people that if I don't succeed, not to say that I let down, is like
That's still
they're not
recharging.
like people like not that they would ever say I let anybody down, obviously, but the thing I'm trying to do and the thing that they want me to do and the thing that might happen, right, is like
That spell isn't ready yet.
they aren't like just the run of the mill kind of people that
I can't cast that yet. It's not ready.
that's all.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that.
I'm not in a predicament, but I just I can't even be that people. I can't even be that person for my own family right now, right? Like my own like brother, mom, and dad, and all that stuff. And I always am, right? But I've never made promises to be, right? It's like, but they've always depended on me for shit, and sink or swim, you know. You know, so it's gonna shadow burn, mind blast, or whatever. Why am I even trying to do this? All these fucking people here. which is kind of a relief in a lot of ways. You know, it's helpful. You know, I like these aren't promises that I've made, so they aren't necessarily promises that I have to keep. But I do like being that guy. I don't really have anything good to say about it all, really. You know, like I hope it all works out. That's about it.
That spell isn't ready yet. That is still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
Another thing too, it's not something that I mean it bothers the shit out of me. I don't talk about it much, but like I guess it's amongst a few people and it's this hour of the night and all that shit, but like the people that have gotten themselves close to the steering wheel of this thing that I care about more than anything don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? And it bothers the shit out of me. That's all. You know what I mean? And it whatever it is, right? It just bothers me tremendously, right? I don't really have anybody to voice that opinion to, you know, just more or less left to my own devices.
That spell isn't ready yet. I
I
can't
liken it
cast
to
that
the
yet.
time that like Trump and his shit with the FBI, right? Like, oh, it was all for show, right? Like, I'm sure after it was all said and done, they're like, oh, well, you know what this is, politics. You know, it's a dirty sport. You know, us coming to your home and going through your wife's underwear drawer and trifling all over everything you care about, right? You know, not only have I had that happen to me myself, right, more than one time in my life on a couple occasions, and have always been vindicated in the end, right? People just being pieces of shit because they don't like me or greedy, selfish, lying, thieving pieces of shit, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's happened to me more than an acceptable amount, right? And I always liken it to Trump's fucking bullshit with the FBI because it's something totally different, right? This has nothing to do with anything like that. But the thing is that the American people and everybody got the impression like, well, this is like for show, right? But at the end of the day, it's like no. Even though something like that did help Trump get into office, right? Everybody was like, we basically have to help this guy out because the FBI is being a bunch of dicks, right? More or less. They came to his home with a criminal warrant for themselves, right? Signed off by a judge that was bought and paid for, politics, this, that, and the other thing, right? They say it's a dirty sport, but it just doesn't have to be. So, that being said, at the end of the day, there were still FBI agents that were 100% complicit in this staged event, right? It's like, at the end of the day, those people knew what they were doing, and they still did it, no matter how wrong they knew it was. And it goes to tell you what good little Nazis they can be, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm dealing with something similar where I'm really hoping somebody has their head on their shoulders, that's all. And it doesn't appear that way. And at the end of the day, it's like, if these are miscalculations or Machiavellian purposeful missteps, whatever the fuck you want to call it, at the end of the day, you still
Still recharging.
you still know what you're doing and you're choosing to do it, right? It's like, and if you can be paid or influenced or swayed to be a fucking idiot, then yeah, I've got a problem with it. That's all.
That
So I don't know
spell
what it
isn't
is,
ready yet.
really. I have no clue.
That is still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
This is unrelated to work. This is unrelated to anything else. Just generalized statements about something I'm going through currently, and it bothers me. That's all. But that's similar thing though. Like, oh well, yeah, well you know that was like a joke, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, for Trump, like, no, the federal government sent armed men to your home to trifle all over everything that they knew belonged to you in the name of dirty politics, right? It's like they knew that that was wrong. They knew they weren't supposed to be doing that. They knew there were consequences if they got caught doing it, and they still did it. Now, that's what you signed up for. You know what I mean? So, like, having had to deal with something exactly like that multiple times throughout my life, right? The thing I'm talking about currently, unrelated to all this, is still just, it's indicative of, like, you just wish people were genuine. You just wish they were the way they should be. You wish there weren't having to be any of this bullshit cloak and daggers and pretending this and saying that and doing another thing. You're like, I don't operate like that. I don't tolerate that kind of shit with people. I don't like it myself, you know what I mean? So hopefully everything gets resolved sooner or later. The thing is like, how much is someone actually worth? Not like in a dollar sense, but like in true value, if you can basically pay them to just wreck and destroy something that's not even theirs. You know what I mean? For good or worse, right? For better or worse, whether or not they feel like they're justified or whatever their reasons may be. You're like, you mean to tell me I have to worry about having somebody around that someone can get their ear and then line their pockets, and then what's something that belongs to me is destroyed? Right. Yeah, I can't have that. Period. Got all these dicks all of a sudden, dude. Come on now. I'm here to fucking farm my goddamn primal fire, dude. All the people out in the middle of nowhere. But you get what I'm saying? Like, people say I'm a liability, and I cannot tell you enough how much I'm not a liability. It's like, the people that are a liability are the people that have a track record of just wrecking and ruining shit, or not knowing what they're doing, or this, that, or the other. I've seemingly no history of doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I try my ass off as much as I can, and I try to do my best regardless. And it's cost me everything that I have, you know, and you can imagine why I'm stressed out, right? To say the least, right? Why it's taking the wind out of my sails, and I'm trying to be positive, and God knows I am, like, at this point in time, right? Just even showing up. speaking analogies, right? Whatever. It's this time of year too, right? For some reason. Where are all these people that attacked me earlier? Just minding my own goddamn business here, right?
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
At the end of the day, though, I don't want to say useful idiots or whatever, but it's like, okay, if you guys were fully aware of all the shit that occurred, like, you would understand why it is that it pisses me off. You know what I mean? And I can't give up hope, obviously. You know, I'm too entrenched, so what does it matter? And I know things are going to work out, I hope and pray, right?
That spell
Once
isn't
the planet
ready
gets
yet.
struck by a fucking meteor or something, right? Please, God, send the meteor, send the meteor. Right. But if anybody was fully aware of all the shit, you know what I mean? Golly.
I can't cast that yet.
And I can tell you where it doesn't come from, right? That's about all, right? I can tell you it doesn't come from me. Without burning bread and being a snarky little bitch about things, but bottom line, right?
I can't cast that yet.
That's why I hate to think like, well, never mind.
Can't use that either. That spell isn't ready yet.
This is more or less unrelated to anything
I
for the
can't
most
cast
part,
that
right?
yet.
Just kind of the general state of things. Dealing with my brother, family issues, things like that. You know, I'm not trying to complain, but
I can't cast that yet.
he's not in the wrong, neither am I, that's all.
That's still recharging.
But it'd be enough to make your blood boil.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
Motherfucker.
That spell isn't ready yet.
But at the end of the day, a crowd or group of individuals that is far more scrupulous than even myself, right? They're gonna see all this shit at some point in time, and they're gonna say, "Yeah, we can't tolerate this shit." More or less, like I already know that, and they're not gonna have any reason. They're gonna have one grievance to file about me,
That's
which
still
is
recharging.
which is helpful, but
I
in
can't
the
cast that
meantime,
yet.
it doesn't necessarily resolve any issues. That's all.
I can't cast that yet.
I know these are all things like, well, that sounds good, but what do you do about it? I'm like, well, I've done all I can do about it. You know what I mean? It can
That
quite
spell
literally
isn't ready
nothing
yet.
I can do to change or help or fix or do anything. So, like I said, it's one of those times where
That's still recharging.
something that I'm not familiar with, or at least not very familiar with, right? When doing less is better, you know. So, that being said, this is my only outlet, my only path to vent to frustration, and I wish there were things that I could discuss further, you know, with the right people, but I can't do that yet. So, and I don't want to be a snarky bitch, and I'm normally and I'm almost normally never like that, right? And I don't think this falls into that category either. These guys attacked me earlier, right? That guy, and that guy. Great.
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
But I get the impression that there's a lot, and at some point, even more,
That's still recharging.
of plotting and scheming, specifically and directly against me by like a large group of people, as there usually is, right? And I tell you, when I get my day in court, heads are going to roll about this shit. Period. Like, no mercy. I've put up with enough of this shit in my lifetime. And if you want a history of my track record as far as what happens to people that do this kind of shit to me, just browse the internet. It never ends up well for them.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That
And
spell isn't ready yet.
there are even more shoes to drop as far as that's concerned too.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. Get closer. Out of range. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. Get closer. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
Phone with repair bill.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
Not being paranoid either. I know that much. But whatever, like we all know what's gonna happen to him.
He's too far away. That's still recharging.
The thing is like the promises from people to like make it right after all this. It's like no, I'm going to take away your privilege to do it to anybody ever again. Period. And have fun with it. It's what you deserve. I don't care how right you make it after the fact. You are not going to be doing this to other people. I promise you.
Not enough mana.
Just ask the last half a dozen people that did this shit to me. You know them. You're familiar with them. Some of them are household names. Were.
I can't cast that yet. That is still in charging. I can't cast that
I'm not the only one that's aware of all this shit. You know, I know that for a fact. But I don't want anything to be sabotaged because, like, you know, if you can't have it, then nobody can, or if I can't have it, then nobody can. That kind of mentality, dude. It's dealing with these people sometimes, right? That's how they are. Like in the past, this is what I liken it to. I've dealt with like gay guys in the past that were so jealous of my girlfriend that they would try and do anything to wreck and ruin the relationship. That's exactly the same thing that I'm dealing with. It seems like, right? Like, um, fucking, what do you do about it, right? It's not like a, what? How do you, without using the word, whatever, but like something that has no life. Like, what do you like? How do you take from somebody like, not to say take, but prevent somebody that has no like, fucking, you know, where do you even start? We're not even on the same page, right? Fucking people though. Just jealous haters, man. I hate the shit. I get so tired of it. I've tried my damnedest to try and find like just like-minded individuals on the internet, and it's like impossible to find, dude. It's impossible.
I can't trust that yet.
You know, I know I'm not out in the wilderness here, um, in my school of thinking or whatever, but
That
and
spell
I know
isn't
the
ready
right
yet.
people, like the people that I respect more than anything, like some people, like it would surprise you. It would fucking surprise the
That
shit out of
spell
you.
recharges me.
The people that I know that are going to bat for me. You know what I mean? It would really like it would surprise probably anybody on planet Earth, right? Like,
That
yeah, no, I'm
spell
sure it
isn't
would. I
ready
know
yet.
for a fact it would, right? So I just pray to
I
God that
can't trust that yet.
um, that that that's helpful, and I know it is, right? Ultimately, um,
That spell recharges me.
but at some point in time, even those people don't like having to account for other people's fuck ups. That's all. You know what I mean? Like even like it would surprise anybody. It really would.
That spell isn't ready yet.
That's not something that I advertise. That's not something that I try to sell. It's not an idea that I promise. You know, I talk about it basically to myself.
That
But for
spell
those who
recharges me.
know, right? It's like, so I leave it at that for the most part because I don't want anyone to get the impression that I'm fucking a snake oil salesman or trying to make a promise that I can't keep. But you know, like you can basically just chalk it up as me being a compulsive liar. Then you know, it's actually helpful
I can't
for
trust that
you
yet.
to say that, right? Because the people that know, right? So whatever. Yeah, I'm not trying to. I'm playing to a small audience, right? What does it matter? I would prefer for everybody to think I'm a compulsive liar. I really would, because the people that do know for sure, have seen the evidence, the proof, and know as a matter of fact, right? Like no questions asked, they know. And those people are some of the most held in high regards individuals on planet Earth, like the entire marble that we exist on, right? So, so just chalk it up as me being a compulsive liar, right? Please.
I
But
can't trust that yet.
you just hate to see so many complications and things get done a certain way, like whatever. You know, I know it all works out in the end, but any extra hair falling out right now because of the stress these people have caused me, like, I don't know. I don't even want to say it's expensive, right? Just, it's priceless rather. Right? It's like I'll be figuring out a way for you to not do it anymore. That's all. Whatever it takes. And I'm pretty good at that kind of thing, actually. Surprisingly good at it. Um, so I can make that promise.
That spell recharges me. That spell isn't ready yet.
Sitting here helping these guys grind, you know, like not really trying to tag anything. I'm more or less just trying to do
I can't
something to get
trust
my
that yet.
mind off of things right now. Like, not a sense of helplessness or hopelessness, but whenever,
It's too far away.
like I said, things piling on my plate for the last couple of years and me trying as much as I can to get through it all. And Uh, yeah. So, just want you to know I'm still here, still in it to win it, for sure. But
That's still
basically, I've been
recharging.
keeping very good track of things for the last couple of years, to say the least.
I'm not a mage. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
And the point hopefully comes in the
That's
future
still
where
recharging.
I get to say, like, I get my soapbox.
I
I can
can't cast that yet.
explain, not to say explain my side of the story. There's not really like a my side of the story. There's a whole bunch of the story that I haven't told anybody before,
That's
you know,
still
that I'm sure people would be
recharging.
super interested in hearing, and I just don't think this is the right place, you know. And plus, it's kind of sensitive shit, you know. A lot of it is sensitive kind of things, so I don't necessarily want to use the wrong outlet for that. It's more of a personal discussion type thing. Um, but whatever.
That spell isn't ready yet.
I hate to get all biblical, fire and brimstone and everything, but right. You say is like, God, did you fuck up or what?
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
I can say though that some of these people have severely pissed other people off. You know what I mean? Like, not just myself,
Can't
right?
cast
For
that yet.
personal reasons, whatever, just even outside of that.
That's still recharging.
And I can only assume that's why I find myself here discussing this to begin with,
I
right? More
can't
than
cast
likely.
that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. It also makes for interesting television too, doesn't it? crossbolt resisted.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Oh man, oh man.
That skill
How'd that happen?
that spell isn't ready yet.
She didn't point it in the right direction, more than likely. Right. You need to. I think Wrath of the Lich King they changed Cone of Cold, and I'm still not like 100% familiar with the range on it. Either they changed it or the spec that I had. It's like one of these expansions, so I'm like
That skill recharges
still learning how to do my Cone of Cold correctly.
too far away.
It's not like Dragon's Breath that you're like, what the fucking thing sometimes makes no sense.
I
Dragon's
can't
Breath was something like they never even attempted to try and fix, you know. I guess it's not supposed to have the same degree, whatever effect or whatever, but you would think it should, right?
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
Invite me to your lair. Are you on my lair? Oh, that's my friend. My Asian internet wife that always cooks for me and saves me farming spots for some reason.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. Out of range. That's still recharging. Get closer.
Oh shit. I guess, yeah, that person's in our group. Yeah, so I just helped them kill ours then or whatever. Right? Yeah, cool.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
Cool. Get some mobs for a minute. Right. Yeah, try not to be so fucking whatever and doom and gloom and all that. I mean, it's like the most appropriate place to vent my frustrations. I guess somewhere's better than nowhere, dude. Talking about my fucking mental health, right? Like,
That's still
gotta do
recharging.
something, right?
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. Get closer. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Not to sound like fucking Tony Soprano, right? But at the end of the day, though, it's like not that I need therapy or fucking mental health help or anything. God no. But the idea that like you want me to go to a therapist and tell them this shit, right? Like, you realize what a therapist would say? Like, they would have me committed. They would say this guy's um, full of shit. They would say this guy's delusional, right? Like, until I fucking bring pictures and stuff, I guess, right? They would say the guy's full of shit, right? It's happened before, so whatever.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Not that it's, you know what I mean, but it's like there is nowhere to go to for like assistance with these kind of things, right? Especially it's a whole bunch of shit you can't really talk about either, you know. Try and talk around it, and it's not helpful. But you know, for those who know. So, oh, like the Sopranos, right? Not like the Sopranos, but you know what I mean. That dynamic where like And like not to make it personal or anything, but like even when I told my own parents about this stuff at some point in time, they thought I was making this shit up, and it took them years to come to terms with the fact that I wasn't, right? Um, and I'm still, not to say bitter about it, but you know, it bothered me that they were that way about it, right? Like they didn't believe me and all that shit. So not to say I had to make them believe me, but I had to present enough factual evidence. Like I don't feel like having to do that with everybody. You know what I mean? I really don't. It's like, do you not like if it would be 25 hours a day of my time would be required to fully explain away every question to every person that says like, well, you're just full of shit then, right? Like, okay, makes my life a lot easier. Sure as shit does. It's actually very helpful too. It's a good farm spot though, ain't it? Son of a bitch, what are you trying to do, guy? Just here to pick flowers, alright. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but right. I mean, you can imagine I've been doing this for the last 7 or 8 years without anybody. Period. You know what I mean? So I'm fucking tired of this shit. You know, basically searching and searching, man. I'm running around the fucking magnifying glass looking for people that I can jibe with or whatever, and just fucking not able to find them yet. When the time's right, I know they're already there, but you know what I mean? Bird. Hey, bird. They get their flying at 69. What level do they get their flying? Like a level or two early? Hey, where's the fucking word bubbles above your head? Hello, bird.
That
Do you
spell
want
isn't
something
ready
from
yet.
me? Hello.
That
Do you
spell
need
isn't
something?
charging.
Do you need my help? Do you want bird? Do I have fucking food to throw to it? You, a handful of rice? Do you need something? I didn't bring any bird food with me here to the plateau.
I can't pass
What
that
the fuck are you
way.
doing? Oh, okay. Person what like straight to me and just fucking flying around, making me nervous.
That's still recharging.
God, I hate having to talk around things, dude. I hate having to talk around things. It's my brother and this goddamn Taylor Swift guitar of his, right? That I can never seem to get, whatever the reason is.
That spell isn't ready yet.
That's what I'm upset about.
That still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't pass that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't pass that.
People are probably like, we sure do like it when you don't stream at 2 in the morning because there's probably some people that really do like it, and there's a whole lot of people that probably don't, you know.
It's too far away.
We sure wish you didn't stream this late because we have to get to bed and do shit.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't pass that. That spell isn't ready yet.
Oh man. Any city one? I don't know what that means.
That's still recharging. I can't pass that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't pass that yet. Unmanaged. That's still
Thing is, I
recharging.
just need to write a movie or write a book, and fucking
That spell isn't ready yet.
or something, right?
That's still recharging.
And that way, when someone's like, "Yeah, right," call bullshit, and then make a movie, and then at the credits, I want to play all the footage of the shit that they don't believe, right? And provide the links to the tweets and everything else, right? But then again, we have a percentage of the population that thinks that these astronauts just shot up in an imaginary, I don't even know. And where are they
I can't pass that
for the
yet.
next month or whatever, 10 days? Where the fuck are the
I
astronauts?
can't pass that yet.
I challenge any one of these flat earthers to go through the, like, just to prove, right? I think NASA should say, like, well, we'll have a fucking, can you really, like, why can't they do it? Why can't one of these, I, I would love to see the list of excuses as to why that the flat earther cannot go through the fucking NASA program
That spell isn't
and
ready
go into
yet.
space.
That's
I think
still
Elon Musk
recharging.
should start launching these people into space, let them see for themselves, right? Dispel the fucking, how there is even a rumor to begin with, I don't know, but um, it's not a terrible idea, really. Maybe he should, right? Yeah, $1 million, right? To any flat earther that's willing to get shot into space Yeah, perfect. Right? He sent a car to space. He can send a person, right? He's done it before.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Don't get any bright ideas
Too
there.
far away.
I'm here holding down the fort for my fucking
I can't cast that yet.
my Asian internet wife.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
I did watch Cowboy Bebop earlier, the show, not the live action show, not the original cartoon. It's the only I appreciate anime, right? Surprisingly, when I was in prison, it was pretty much all I had to watch.
That's still
But
recharging.
more or less, I really like Cowboy Bebop though. The TV show is of all the animes, I would say it's probably the only one I really consider watching for now. You never know what the future holds, but arcane missiles do hit hard, man. I had the wrong rank on my
That's still
bar, and I won
recharging.
that match against that priest the other day and had a rank 8. You know, if I had a full rank, it wouldn't have gone on as long as it did.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
Which I didn't do any arenas today.
It's still recharging.
I have an idea of how I want my user interface to look. I got some shit to move around. If I get everything like more centrally located to the center of the screen, it helps because my fucking eyes are terrible. Less looking
That
around and
spell
all that.
isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
But I seen some things. I asked one of the guys what add-on it was that did the thing I was looking for. Like I need a big fucking thing in the middle of my screen. Like if someone nature swiftness or tries to cast a thing to instant void walker summon or whatever.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
Right.
I
So
can't cast that yet.
I have a reason to be pissed. You know, more or less.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
What are they doing at 1:30? It's the thing I posted earlier. It said, on the moon, we wait for our coins to Earth, right? How funny is that? Moonanites.
That spell isn't ready
Yeah, but
yet.
I'm hanging on tight, man. I'm holding on tight for everybody. I always do. I have found myself at the fucking end of my wick so many times as far as like
That's still
in my
recharging.
life, right? I always do. And it always works out right at the fucking last second. But
I can't cast that yet.
this time could be different. I'm hoping it's not. But
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
and for those who know, have been doing this with me for the last 29 years or so, like 28 years.
That's still recharging.
Mind you, I'm only 36 years old, right? So they've been here a while, to say the least, right?
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't
This is actually a really good farm spot. I kind of like that it's all flat. That way I don't have to jump up and down and climb mountains and all that shit.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
You know, but it's one of those things where it's like showing up late to something that's already pre-established always makes it difficult to be the new guy, you know what I
Cast
mean?
that yet.
And I know it's a process, right? I understand, you know, I get it, but in life or video games even, right? Like, it's difficult. I mean, it's just difficult to find people, really. Anytime, really. But showing up late to something isn't super helpful. It's like, I would have been here earlier. I just had some shit going on, that's all.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. It's not ready yet. That's still recharging.
Oh.
I can't use that item yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. Get closer. That spell isn't ready yet.
There's one or two more of these things that spawn. We're doing much better. Oh, I saw a thing earlier. A cat went viral because he looked like Ron Perlman. And like, I think the other way around, dude. I think Ron Perlman went viral because he looks like a fucking cat. I think the other way around. Yeah, we were looking like that before Ron Perlman showed up. Right. Yeah. No, Ron Perlman.
That's still
He definitely
recharging.
went viral because he looks kind of like a fucking cat, doesn't he?
I can't cast that yet. That's still
Whatever his
recharging.
facial features, Hellboy, like they probably put less makeup on him actually, right? There's a joke I made about Conan O'Brien. They're like, oh, he's like, this is me getting ready for to be Miss Gladys. I said, in all reality, it's them taking Conan. It's them taking off Conan's makeup and putting it and playing it in reverse, right? That's what Conan really looks like. Oh, Gladys from Weapons, if you've seen the movie. Surprisingly good. They said it like almost immediately after it premiered. They're like in talks to make like a whole bunch of them, right? It's pretty good. Pretty good movie. I still say, man, The Heretic is the best kind of scary movie that I've seen in a while that didn't involve zombies. Although 28 years later was pretty awesome too. You just wish that yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to give away the ending or anything. You just wish they all got eaten by zombies like right off the flip. Which at some point in time, I want to use an AI thing to turn like where you can convert any movie into a zombie movie. So it's like, what if you watched a movie, right? And right, this is retarded, but whatever. Anytime a character dies, they turn into a zombie. So you could watch like all your old favorite movies, right? And then as soon as one of the characters dies, they get up and then it turns into a zombie movie, right? And you get to see what it would look like if it were a zombie movie. Trying to think of a movie, Forrest Gump, where Jenny dies, right? She gets up and bites that tarred Forrest on the neck, and then he turns into a zombie. And yeah, how funny would that be? The last 30 minutes of it, right? Last 30 minutes of fucking Forrest Gump turns into a zombie movie. All right, now I was enjoying my farm here. I was just glad to have a parking spot. For the time being, right? I gotta pay attention though, because some of these people are her friends or her like villagers or whatever. I don't want to like bother them too much. But I think they're all that direction. Pick up odds and ends. Yikes. So this warrior here has all these to himself? Are you on my team? Fair enough. Oh, come on now. Yeah, shitty. Gotta have a balance on the plateau, man. You want half horde and half alliance that way. If anybody gets out of line, you can always have them ganked and all that. been a pretty good guild though, right? Really, like, I'm super surprised at how much they know what they're doing. Really, just because they fucking invited me out of a random like Tippus Keep run or whatever the fuck it was called. Surprised, super surprised. They got some real good DPS and all that, which is like 3/5 of fucking content is do you have the DPS for it, right? And it seems like we do. I just need a few pieces of gear, and it's good to have competition as far as DPS is concerned. Although someone said some shit, I think they were just joking though. They were like, "Oh, we're asking why it is that you're not arcane blasting." I'm like, all right, guy." See, like these things here, I wish they'd show up here. Fuck me running. Did not mean to frost. Whatever. Whatever, Jerry. Yeah, and if you guys are ever like watching me like in the chat and all that stuff, I cannot see the chat. I only have one computer monitor for now, right? So I can only see so much of what's going on, and yeah. So don't think I'm like being all fucking non-responsive or whatever. I just have other cannot see the screen basically. Did you get ganked? There, fucking teleporty guy. Oh no, we got another hunter now. Son of a bitch. Well, thank you for hanging out with me, guys. Guy, girl, guy or girl, guy and girl, at the same time. Fuck. Oh, I got it. Yeah, I don't want to give anybody the impression that like drama follows me either, you know. But like, there are regular woes, you know, in life and things. Like, everybody deals with some amount of shit that they go like, just, you know. But I don't want to give anybody the impression that like problems follow me or whatever. But it is real life, and I would say that I'm less risk adverse than most people, despite the circumstance, right? Risk exposed, whatever you want to call it. As far as that's concerned, you know, like having gone through a fair bit of the shit myself with people, I've managed to do the best I can do to like fucking sanitize myself of all of it if possible, right? I definitely don't want to give off that impression, but I think I'm being a realist when I say there's always some of that, you know, with anybody. You know what I mean? Like, it would be dishonest to say, like, yep, nope, shit just does not stick to me, period, right? Everybody thinks I'm the best all the time. No one has anything negative to say about anybody, right? It must be nice to live on cloud 9. Yeah, there are less interesting people, you know.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
How many of these do I have now? 15, 16? Shit, I didn't know I had that many.
I can't cast that yet. That's still
Oh, we're gonna
recharging.
watch Pulp Fiction on
That
Easter,
spell
though. I
isn't
watched Kill
ready
Bill
yet.
today. That was pretty good, man. I love that movie. I can't say it's as good as Inglourious Bastards, but Inglourious Bastards is also like one of the
I can't
fucking
cast
best
that yet.
movies ever made. I think it's tied for second. I would have to say There Will Be Blood is definitely first. It's the best movie ever made. But number two is a tie between like 2001: A Space Odyssey and then Inglourious Bastards and like The Prestige and stuff. They're all kind of in the same category. Dark Knight, you know.
That's still recharging.
They say that Odyssey's gonna be good too. They said they're gonna have a special guest. They said Matt Damon's a real special guest, right? He's a guest star. They said Matt Damon's gonna have a cameo or whatever.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. Unarranged.
It's crazy to think that like Ben Affleck's got a fucking AI company. I looked up on the internet how much the guy was worth. You got to think like all that hard work, all these fucking Oscars and all that other stuff, whatever Grammys and Nickelodeon GAC awards or whatever, and you're like, he's worth a shitload, you know. But he's probably realizing now, like what I seen the other day was something about like, oh, I still have to fly commercial or whatever. Like, he's probably gonna get to figure out what life is like without that. You know what I mean? He's gonna get to figure out what life's like with a plane and all that. So good for him. Especially if he bridges that gap between AI and filmmaking, man. I tell you, there's gonna be a shitload of money to be made there. If his company's the one to do it, then fuck, right? Are we in the same group? Why do you keep trying to tag my shit, bro? But the thing is, it's cool to see those guys like Matt Damon's like the spokesperson for Crypto.com, right? Or like the official or unofficial, whatever. I've seen him on some commercials. And then now Ben Affleck has an AI company. You're like, yeah, that's probably the best way to actually like, as much as people appreciate the movies they make for whatever reason, but you know what I mean. But the fucking to get paid though, right? Crypto and AI.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
I'm telling you, man. Like, there's so much that can be done with all this stuff. People fucking prompt their own movies and stuff. Like, come on. You create your character, your AI, and you can put it in any movie that you want. And like, if you've ever scrolled through like the back pages of Amazon, some of the movies are so shitty. You could quite literally have a group of friends sit down for 10 minutes and come up with a script for a plot for a movie, prompt an AI to create it. All your AIs star in the fucking film, and it's more entertaining than 90% of the slop that's on Amazon as it is, right? One of the ideas I thought would be interesting, like I said the other day, fungible movies, right? So you don't get the same ending twice, so there's always something not missed, but different about each time you watch it or whatever, like Fable, you know. But I got the idea watching 28 Years Later the other day when the kid went through the entire movie and he had like a bow, you know what I mean? And at some point in time, you're like, well, that would be cool if that was like your character, right? And you get to watch your character in a movie, and like the shit that your character acquires as the movie goes on is like by the end of it, that's like the loot you received, you know, for watching the movie. Like I say NFTs because crypto is my frame of reference, but say like in that movie, for example, the kid started off with like a bow and arrow, and by the end of it, he had like a machine gun because he found like a guy that had a machine gun or whatever, whether or not he did or didn't, you know, for example. So by the start of the movie, he had like all this like low level shit, right? And by the end of it, he had like a couple things, you know, he increased his skill points in one thing, he found a machine gun as another, you know. Either those are NFTs or what, yeah, but the idea that like, because they're those movies, those games that were like basically just cutscenes, right? That were popular for a few years. I think even South Park made fun of them, where you basically just pick and choose the dialogue as the play or the movie plays out, right? And you get like a different choose your own adventure kind of movie experience. But if there's a way to gamify it to where, you know what I mean, like, yeah, that's what I mean. Exactly what I just said. Because you think the way 28 years later ended, it was so kind of like, huh, you know what I mean? Good ending though. We're like, hell yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to the sequel. You know, like there's got to be one, right? Um, the ending of Kill Bill was another movie. We're like, oh yeah, that made fucking the best part was this part, the ending, the cliffhanger ending. So you would think where like if a really popular movie could be made in like 6 months, you get what I'm saying? That the experience of like watching your character like level up through the content and all that stuff, and you're like, how do you know if somebody watched the same movie as you or watched one of these popular movies? Is like you can inspect their character or their inventory or whatever, and you get to see all their like achievements, you know. So and so watched so and so on this date or unlocked the achievement on this date, and like this is what they received for doing it, you know. And there's potentially rare drops and things. Another thing I was talking about too, though, is if you could unlock NFTs by scrolling through Twitter, like as you doom scroll, like rare NFTs or collectibles will pop up, and it's like, click here to unlock your NFT or whatever, and it gets put on your X wallet. You know what I mean? So, cool ideas. I saw a post somebody said that was like this post, something Dragon Ball Z, and increase your whatever power by 100 points for the next 2 hours. I'm like, what the fuck? Or it was something like that, right? I'm like, oh, that's really actually a really interesting concept to think of, like scrolling through and basically finding like treasure, you know. And you could add like super ultra rare drops, NFTs, and things that you can claim to turn the fucking doom scrolling experience into a treasure hunt if you can. But the idea of the prompting is like, well, why? Because, well, anybody can come up with a good idea for a movie. Like, pretty much everybody has, like, an idea for a movie that they wish could get made, right? It's like, well, now, with an elaborate prompt, you have the ability to, like, actually have, with the right AI, like, a full start to finish, fully produced, as good as any movie is. And something I've mentioned before it seems like Hollywood's had a tendency of making movies look like the CGI is not as good as it could be, because I think it's done in such a way so that people are acclimated to kind of accept the next wave of just like AI generated content by making movies look not as appealing now. Means that like when they do release AI that is able to produce the same quality movie, there's no like, well, we really like this AI thing, but the quality is shit. It's like, no, they've acclimated the viewer to accept this less than 100% quality of filmmaking, so that way when the AI slop reaches a certain quality, it's an acceptable quality, you know what I'm saying, by comparison. Whereas if everybody put their heart and soul into a movie like Christopher Nolan did Oppenheimer and all that stuff, you would say, well, yeah, there's no way for AI, you know, at least not in the next 5 or 15 years, to make movies that are, I say that, right, you know, realistically, as far as all, like, all-encompassing, not just visuals, but storyline and everything else. Historically accurate, too, right? You would say, like, well, there's no way for AI to do that yet, you know what I mean? But, so, you don't want to set the standard too high, but if you lower the standard just a little bit, then that transition between traditional filmmaking to like AI is it's less of a bite to eat, right? It's less of a mouthful all at once, right? Or if everybody like the 2008 era of filmmaking, you know, and I'm not like a cinema buff or anything, but the time like the Dark Knight, like that era where There Will Be Blood, No Country for Old Men, which I like There Will Be Blood a lot more, but everybody liked that other movie too. The Prestige, Dark Knight, there was just all these just fucking awesome movies, right? And then everything fell off the map. Like they haven't made maybe 4 like really super good films since like 2008 for whatever reason, right? So we're due for something more than just AI slop, but since the quality of filmmaking has fallen to the point that it has, especially like I said, visually they look like, you watch a movie now, like, this is an Avengers movie? Don't these things have like $1 billion budget? Like, why the fuck does it look like this, right? It looks like all cartoonish. The colors are all too vibrant and cartoony, you know what I mean? Whereas like the original Iron Man movie, like, how have they not improved special effects between the first Iron Man movie and today? It's like, well, they have. They're just choosing not to do it for some reason. And I do believe that it's so then that way when they fire up all this AI stuff that there's that, like, it's less of a transition, you know, but since the AI quality won't be exactly what you would expect, people be acclimated to a less than 100% quality, and they'll accept the AI slop then, right? I think, in my opinion, right? And they'll accept a lower visual quality and a lower story quality by making the movie going the movie going interface, the movie going experience more interactive, rather. Like, for what it lacks in quality, makes up in ingenuity and all these other things, right? But like everybody and their fucking dad has a good idea for a movie. You're like, yeah, you know, people like that. If we could just sit down and write a script and get a thing and all this other stuff and shop it around, and you're like, yeah, that's like 1,000 hours of shit to do. But with a good prompt, you can come up with the same thing and write your AI into scenarios and watch the entire movie. You know, how cool would that be? That's the thing, people talking about them shutting down Sora. You're like, well, the technology still exists. They haven't sold all the hardware at a pawn shop, I'm sure. So really, what is like so they have the technology to prompt and create pretty cool looking, you know, realistic looking AI stuff. And they have the technology to do it still. It's like, really, another thing to consider is the meta thing, right? They all say that like Mark Zuckerberg spent like 60 or 70 billion dollars on his metaverse. You're like, how much of that was research and development and like man hours and stuff, and how much of it was hardware? You're like, well, whatever fair amount of it was hardware, you would think can just get repurposed for something else. So what looks like a real like tragic loss on spreadsheets and stuff currently might eventually look like, well, we were just basically pre-laying the foundation or infrastructure required for this next thing, whatever it could be, right? So really, at the end of the day, I really doubt that that loss at Meta will be considered as tremendous as it is now in the future, because it's not like they're not going to go fucking pawning the graphics cards. You know what I mean? They're going to repurpose the shit, and when they do, um, dollars to donuts, I guess the shareholder would probably be pleased with it eventually if whatever it is successful. But to say he lost that much, it's like, well, he might have spent that much, but he hasn't lost it yet because he hasn't had to sell any of the shit as far as I'm familiar with, right? Like if he can repurpose all that compute into something that makes a fucking awesome product or a service that people really want to use, then he can make it all up, you know. I think I looked up the numbers the other day. Um, how much of it was hardware? How much of it was research and development, right? And don't get me wrong, it's going to be a negative for a while, but
That's still recharging. I can't trust that.
so like yeah, you know, like the thing with Sora too, though, same thing, right? Uh, and then I think almost immediately when they announced that they were shutting down Sora, they said that like, well, we're gonna stick to these things, right? Whatever it was that they said, I forget it, OpenAI or whatever. So I mean, really, it's like, yeah, that current project was the thing you said you needed this amount of compute for. It's like now you don't have that project, you have an excess of compute. That's like the most valuable resource on planet Earth currently. Yeah, you haven't lost anything. And you have every opportunity to make it all up, if done correctly, right? It's just what is that next thing? You know what I mean? So I know it's all gonna work out. I know it. It has to. And like I said, as long as there's not so much like overlap from AI companies, people are like, oh, well, OpenAI, they're not expected to whatever in however many years. I wish I kept up more with the statistics and all that shit, but I have a feeling it's mostly contrived media garbage anyway, so I don't necessarily, for now, not to say waste my time, but because I am sitting here fucking fingering my butthole playing video games at 2 in the morning, but what point was I trying to make? Either way, though, it's that time, right? I can retool, repurpose some of the shit to do what actually works, right? Oh yeah, where there's no overlaps. So like I've said, the AI stuff, right, is like how many companies do you really need doing these large language models? Like it's helpful to have a lot, I guess, but as far as like a bubble's concerned, it's like you can expect there to be a certain amount of lossage there or whatever, like a certain amount of that won't succeed based on the fact that like, well, how many times do you need to cover the same ground? Like redundant, you know, like how redundant does it have to be? You're like, well, with 4 or 5 foundation level AI companies doing just about everything that there is, I would say is probably all that's required. And then a lot of the AI startups and stuff can be, well, how do you harness these foundation level AIs to come up with something cool, right? And then that does give opportunity for at some point in the future for there to be, you know, smaller guys in the race or whatever that have really can really make something interesting out of all the other shit without necessarily having to touch on the same ground more than once, right? Which is, I think, is helpful, right? Because like you talk about bubbles, and I've mentioned this before, was some of the most some of the best and most well-known and what you would consider to be like the tried and true success stories in the tech industry were companies that were birthed in the midst of the fucking dot-com bubble and the dot-com bubble bursting, right? Are you kidding me, Jerry? You can look it up. Look up the statistic. What was it? How much metaverse was the Meeseeks verse? How much of the Meeseeks verse? Right? How much of the Meeseeks verse was fucking research and development? How much of it was hardware? Oh, look at me! It's like the one experience I have trying to use ChatGPT to code. I'm like, I'm trying to tell you what you just told me to do made everything on my computer not work. And you're like, maybe try. Like, did you try squaring your shoulders? I'm like, I did. I did try squaring my shoulders. Can you copy paste the source code? Wait, I just told you what you just told me to do made everything worse, and you want me to next step, please? So, if done correctly, and I know it's like it's in a perfect world, right, where there are no homeless people. It says only 50. Well, say it says I don't know if it's the right number or not. $15 billion of it was research and development. You're like, well, however much they said it was, 60 to 80 billion or whatever the loss was, or whatever people are saying. You're like, well, if done correctly, then technically the only loss there is the research and the development part, right? The hardware part is like if you repurpose all that and make something else that can make $15 billion and you break even, you know, that's not that difficult. Well, I see, right? Yeah, right, right, exactly. The guy that was trying to fucking microwave a ding dong while it was still in the wrapper just like 2 days ago, right? Right. It's not that difficult. Well, you know what I mean. Twice tried to microwave a ding dong. Right. Yep. My microwave's broke right now because I fucking tried to microwave a jar of peanut butter like a month and a half, like 4 months ago. But whatever. But that's the thing is like yeah. So ultimately, the loss here is like the man hours poured into the shit. I'm sure research and development, and however much it is, right? You're like, say it's not that difficult, right? Yeah. I'm not to say I'm joking, but you know what I mean. The idea that like that's not a loss yet, right? It's just negative for a while. But if you can use the remaining amount that was spent to create another product that makes at least $15 billion, then you have no problem. And it just takes a while, probably. Those are as much as I can determine numbers that are accurate. Right? If it's not exact, you know what I mean, though. In principle, right? Same with Sora, right? The technology is super awesome. Video prompt generation, all that stuff. It's like what I didn't get a chance to use was like the Sora app and stuff. So is there like nowhere now to go, hey, without it being like an app that has this sort of like interactive experience, I want ChatGPT to render like a video, right? Does that feature still exist somewhere? They just got rid of the app portion of it that was like the, like I guess it's kind of like the social experiment, social media experiment equivalent.
Still recharging. I can't press
Because the
that.
same goes for Sora too, doesn't it? Oh, look at me! The Meeseeks verse.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
I guess people are getting to get their toes wet too, though. Like even myself, right? Getting to understand a little better how helpful it is to run some of these things locally, as far as like APIs are concerned. Um, you know what I mean? It's like, well, you take away some of the not the stigma or whatever, but like the spooky unknowns as far as what is actually required. And what I seen online, there was like, oh, Microsoft managed to get a what was it, 100 billion token count model running on like just a CPU or whatever. Like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So like, I guess it's probably like pretty interesting. You know what I mean? Not statistic, but technologically or whatever. So getting something like that to run locally, you're like, how much of it at some point in time, due to improvements in the algorithm or whatever, are you able to just run most of this locally and only have to use like a little bit of outside resources as far as your APIs are concerned? Hopefully.
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
You would love to like, and that's I guess what they're working on pretty much everywhere, right? That's like not to say the holy grail, but you know the operating system that has all this shit natively runs without having to like, without a lot of having to have a whole lot of like archaic knowledge of coding and developing, you know,
I can't cast that yet.
an agentic, um, just operating system basically. And how much of it has to just be run locally, and how much of it has to rely on outside servers and APIs and all that. Because the thing about that is like
That's still recharging.
you cannot get to the point where your operating system requires a monthly subscription to operate. You know what I mean? So like there's a fair amount, if not all of it, that has to run locally for it to be commercially successful. Maybe enhanced features that access networked or server APIs or whatever, external APIs. But you want as much of it to run locally as humanly possible, because it's like we want you to pay $50 for the software, $100 for the software, and they want you to pay a monthly subscription cost to use your computer. We've never done that before, so what gives, right?
I can't cast that yet.
Now there's always some freemium or whatever you call it, like we get more features, this that, and everything. Like, yeah, that works, but it has to have like an AI and all that works without having to do like a whole bunch of extra shit. Preferably not have to connect to the internet too, for it to have basic functions and all that.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
It's crazy getting to see what a resource is like for compute. It's never been that way, right? We've never really tokenized compute in a way that each individual person can get an understanding of like why, you know what I mean, why it's worth something, whereas it's always just been provided before. Servers and all that stuff, storage, you know, all that kind of shit's always just kind of, it's always just kind of been there, right? Now you can actually see why it's valuable. We're actually at a bottleneck as far as resources are concerned, and how expensive the shit gets, and how quick it gets expensive too, right? And justifiable cost, right? Not just like, well, because we said so, and we're the only ones that know how to do it. Like, no, it's justifiable cost for this stuff. It's like, they're all operating in the net negative for the time being just to bring you the service, right? So you can't say that the cost isn't justified. They're probably selling the shit at a discount now, so that way you use it now and get used to it and get dependent on it, and then that way, you know what I mean, as the cost of operating goes down, they can still charge you the same $20 a month for the premium subscription or whatever, and how many primal fires do I have now? 21. What time is it now? 2:19. I got a couple days of just being a lazy bum, especially on Jesus' birthday. Watch a movie and sit inside, I guess. Shit. Twenty of these things is gonna be like 500 gold. That's it. Put me at 1,200 gold. It's like I'm spending it as fast as I can fucking make this shit, you know. Succulent meal.
I can't test that yet. That's still recharging.
Be helpful if my cone of colds actually landed, bro. Do a whole bunch more damage when they actually hit. Right.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Yeah, but the movie, right? Going to make a movie eventually.
That's
Write a book,
still
make a
recharging.
movie. I pretty much have to, right? At some point in time. I'm not much of a scholar or a literary anything.
It's not ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
Sucks. I gotta go empty out my bags.
That spell isn't ready yet.
And I'll be right back. But I guarantee there'll be somebody here as soon as I step away for just 1 second. That guy's farming pretty fairly, so I can't be upset with him. Hopefully he's cool with me vending off some of this shit. Yeah, I'm not necessarily here to like plead my case because I know for sure that we're all on the same page now. I really deep down inside I knew we always were, right? Um, that being said, right, there are some people that weren't, and some of those people tried to fuck me over, and they're not gonna get to do that to anybody else because it pissed me off. I've had enough people trying to do this shit. That's all. And I'm really good at making that kind of thing happen, if anything. So that's all that can be said about it, really. I know it all works out. I know if you know what you're doing, we've been on the same page since the beginning. I know that much. But I'm sure there are some people that were like reluctant and then came around or whatever. But like, I'm not asking you to be a zealot about it. I'm just saying you're gonna wish you didn't do that. Because it's indicative of like, well, if you wouldn't give me a fair shot, how many people are you really giving a fair shot, and about how many people are you, not to say required by law, but I mean how many people are you required morally or by law eventually, right, to give a fair opportunity to? It's like, if you're actively plotting and planning against somebody and you get caught doing it, then I'm likely not the first person you've done that to, more than likely. So that being said, yeah, you probably won't be doing it to anybody else. Because as much as you do or don't agree with whatever, it's like, I understand a certain amount of gatekeeping. I get that, but it's beyond just that. It turns into this fucking
My mana is low.
um, this thing
I can't
where
cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
like make a game out of it. Really, like you make a game out of fucking over people. Like, so is that an acceptable amount of gatekeeping, or are you just being a prick because you're in a position of power, or you know what I mean? And there are a lot of people that I liken it to the meatwad scenario, where it's like they get one shred of power and you see what a fucking torturous monster they become about shit, right? The type of people you don't want babysitting your kids, the type of people you don't want basically doing shit, really, you know what I mean? because it is supposed to be a certain level of self accountability, a certain level of personal responsibility. It's like that's fine, and I agree. There's a whole lot of more that in crypto that can be done with that kind of thing, right? As far as people being personally responsible and accountable for shit. Yeah, no, I totally get it. But how much of that is like is a symptom of something else, right? It's like not having your own shit in order and expecting everybody else to, kind of thing sometimes, right? Come on now. Son of a bitch. I told you I stepped away for 1 second and these two people showed up. 3 people. Fucking shit. Like locust.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. It's too far away.
What was that guy's name? That I said BRB. I'm trying to think of it. It's like
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. Out of range. That spell isn't ready yet.
Lenika. This person I was farming with earlier. The rest of these guys showed up and I stepped away for just 1 fucking second, dude. Like 4 people swamped the spot, right?
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
We got 21 of these things. Almost 22 of them.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready
ears ringing.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
'Cause
That
that's the
spell
thing is,
isn't ready
like
yet.
I said, right?
That's
So
still
like
recharging.
everybody deserves a fair shot.
I can't
You know what I
cast
mean? If
that
you've
yet.
created an environment where like basically all it's done is just to scoop up people's assets that you know what I mean? It's like there's a certain level of like even if you aren't the one doing it, like it happened under your watch. So there's a certain level of responsibility that's required there. So and if I had to guess, there's a little bit more than just not having your hands on the steering wheel. As far as that's concerned, there's probably a whole lot more that I don't know about, or at least that I'm not supposed to know about going on, right? So um, the idea is you did it to me, which means you're doing it to a whole bunch of people, and you found a person that actually knows better, you know what I mean, and can do something about it. So um, I wish you wouldn't have done that.
It's too far away. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
Hello, Jerry. 22 primal fires. Yeah, I farmed a shitload. You know? Crazy how hard arcane missiles hit, so.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Gotta get more used to using it. I mean, there are circumstances, like, I'm getting better at it. Like, I just, it doesn't take too long to get used to.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. Contemplation. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. I can't attack that yet. That's still recharging.
Quantum computing. Quantum computing, guys. That's the thing, is like, I don't even know what problems quantum computing can solve, right? It's like, it's in its infancy as far as that shit. It's like, I think it looks cool, you know what I mean? It's like, I wish I knew more about it. Like, I understand kind of how it works, but as far as like, what practical, like,
That spell isn't ready
is
yet.
there some algorithm that, like, it doesn't do traditional computing, so what can it do possibly, right? As far as like, it can solve like a unique set of problems, I guess. And then what does that become? How do you design a system around the way that it can solve problems, I guess, right? And then it's infinite or whatever.
I can't use that either. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
Anytime I fucking ask anybody about how it works, so I feel like I'm playing who's on first. They're like, I'm like, okay, but like, how do you, what again? Where's the thing that actually stores the, like, how did the fucking, you know, like, third base or whatever? Like, fuck, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'll eventually figure it out though. Because from like, so when things collapse from a quantum state to a traditional or classical state, does that only exist in mathematics, or is there like a physical thing? You know what I mean? Because like, I've read both opinions about it, right? Of like, well, this is purely mathematical or whatever. Like, so there's no way to physically. And then I see this the double slit experiment. I'm like, now is that, like, no? They actually physically show you the fucking double slit experiment, right? And how it exists as a wave and a particle at the same time. And then other people that I've seen online or whatever say, oh, well, it's really just a mathematical thing, like probability and like superpositions and stuff. So which one is it?
That spell
And
isn't
then I
ready
end up
yet.
on fucking third base, right?
That's still
Well, third base,
recharging.
yeah, I haven't got that answer yet. I'll figure it out eventually, though.
That spell isn't ready yet.
So I hate being a slave to like a technology that I do not understand, especially if it's like super useful, right? I hate using something and not understanding at least something about it, so I don't feel like a slave to it. Which currently, I've shined my 5 watt, 5 candle power, or whatever the fucking hand crank retarded solar panel flashlight amount of light on the fucking darkness in the AI sector to understand just a little bit more about how it works and all that stuff. I'd really like to get one of them fucking You ever see that fucking crazy guy driving? They're like, if you ever seen on TV, they're like, oh, you can like never outrun the cops. You know what I mean? You always like no one ever like successfully outruns the cops. But these guys were driving and they had one of those like 1 million fucking candle watt laser, not laser lights, but torch lights, whatever they're called, right? Spotlights rather. And they're driving and they're driving. They shoot it out the back window, out of the back of the car or whatever. And fucking the camera goes blank. You can't see what's going on. And when the camera's able to turn back on, the fucking guys are gone. It says, what is it called? New life hack unlocked or whatever is like the caption for it. Now in Japan you can, right? But in America we don't have the same policy as they do. In Japan the policy is they cannot pursue somebody when it becomes a risk to public health and safety, right? So like a certain speed they have to like, and I think that's a good idea, you know what I mean? With technology these days, like you would think if a pursuit becomes risky, I would say just fucking don't do it and catch the guy later. You got his vehicle description and all that stuff. Instead of putting somebody else's life in danger. But then again, we're Americans. We like big retarded car crashes and stuff for whatever reason, so... Right. Why don't you just pursue him on horseback with fucking 6-shooters? Yosemite Sam. Cool. This guy gets it, maybe we can get through this quicker. It's a perfect farming spot for 2 people. I think, does he have just one, or how many mobs does he have? Hope he has enough, man, really. I think he does. He seems to be killing one every time I'm killing one, so... Yeah, about the same rate. Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying, man, and I'm not doing this for just myself, right? Like, from day one, and I've always been this way, right? Like, I'm trying to do what's best for everybody, right? And sometimes it's difficult to discern which people do. Not to say which people do and don't appreciate it, because even like a piece of shit that doesn't want anything good to happen ever appreciates a good, kind gesture from a stranger, right? And then I have a good, decent amount of judgment as far as this is concerned in determining like which places are worth my effort if possible, right? And I hate that it's like it's either a mix between such good people and a den of snakes, right? And like it sucks that sometimes these people have to occupy the same fucking space, you know what I mean? It's just you know, it's a tough course to navigate, right? And I don't want to give off the impression like uh, that I'm too helpful or trying to be too helpful or too forward or whatever, but because it does get you taken advantage of by the wrong people, and I've done a fair amount of making it sequestering myself from everything, so that way, um, basically, just let me do my thing, right? Give myself enough space to do my thing, right? I work best that way, you know. And I always bitch and complain about doing all this shit by myself all these years, but really, in reality, it's like that's the only way I know how to do it, right? If anything else is just more problems, right? Like if I get this right, then I have nothing to worry about forever.
That's still recharging.
So it's worth the fucking going without. It's worth the sacrifice. And if I just get it right, right? It's like I've got nothing to worry about. Look at these fucking dill heads. These fucking dill weeds.
It's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
And then at the end of it too, no one can sit there and say like, I don't have anybody. Not, I mean, but it has happened before. You know,
That spell isn't
I've had in the past. I've had an entire team of people that were just toxic and only there to ride your coattails and only there to make things difficult and entitle themselves to a portion of it. You know, like I've had a fair bit of that in my past. This time there's nothing like that. There's, you know what I mean? All the pain and suffering, all the man hours, all the tough work, all the whatever you want to call it, right? You know, as valuable as it might be or as invaluable as it might be to certain people. Like I don't have anybody that can sit there and say like, try and put their name on my work. You know, I've had that happen more than enough times in the past to piss me off forever by people that seemed well intentioned at one point in time and turns out they weren't. You know what I mean? A whole group of them. You know what I mean? So like,
use that either.
when I say it pisses me off tremendously, it's like if only you knew what I'd been through already, you'd understand why it is that I fucking am not going to tolerate this shit. It's like I have to for now, but let that be your mistake. You know what I mean? I won't have to do it forever. I promise you that much.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
If only people knew what I've been through, guys. I swear, you would believe me. You would believe me for sure. But you would say, right? You would just, God damn it, dude. I long for the days where I get to discuss some of these things publicly. That's all, or to the right people. You know what I mean? Not being able to talk about some of this shit is fucking frustrating. Like I said,
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
this guy's name Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers. What the fucking name is that?
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready
But
yet.
you can liken this all to house cleaning at some point in time. It'll be a better place when it's done, and I'll make all my money back and then some, and you know what I mean. It's basically just what I do. You know, wouldn't be the first time I did it too. So um, that is kind of how this works.
It's still recharging. That's still recharging. I can't
Oh, you
press that
fucking
yet.
guys! See, try to help him. That shit, right?
It's not ready.
Try to help him kill his mom. I guess I was thinking it was that guy. Fucking Kenny Rogers, dude.
I can't use that either. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's
Oh
still
shit.
recharging.
Go invisible. That's that guy's. Thought it was that other mage there. Fucking dickhead.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
I even went invisible. Why did it?
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
Let's see how many motes I get from this. Where's a moat?
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
But I can say now from a point of experience and past experience, like it'll be a far more productive space with some of these people gone. You know, all in all, right? It will be. Trust me. Things are much more successful. People will really appreciate. People will really appreciate the space after it's all said and done. I promise you that.
That's still recharging.
I mean, they have before. They do now. It's like adverse market market conditions rather. So like
I can't cast that yet.
so that being said, if Bitcoin decouples from the halving to where the market conditions it's on a slow steady incline instead of like these large ups and downs, right?
That's still
You would
recharging.
think there's going to be a point in time with some stability in the markets that like tried and true, like as much as I pound the pavement about fundamentals, like the community will super appreciate the process that we've had to go through here to get this
That
right.
spell isn't ready yet.
Because at some point in time, with less, you know, highs and lows and more stability in the markets, you're going to draw a whole new crowd of people to crypto. You know what I mean? Not to say like retail. I don't even know what that means, but like people that are just there for the slow and steady and tried and true. You know, and like you don't build that with the fucking meme coins. You know what I mean?
That spell isn't ready
And
yet.
it just takes a few really good success stories.
I
You know what I
can't
mean, to
cast
really
that
make the
yet.
space like a whole better place. You have a dry run with anything, like I've said before, is like a dry run is required to have a formula on how to conduct yourself or how to do it properly in the future. So once we know what that looks like, we haven't had a chance to do it yet. You know what I mean? Because currently the bull cycle only occurs every 4 years plus now, right? Unless the thing completely decouples from the halving, which you would think, in a true supply sense of how much Bitcoin's mined versus how much is in a circulating supply, the mine supply, like the amount of Bitcoin mined that's sold openly or whatever, is not nearly as much as it was. But the people that control the supply, the people that have like, as you can imagine, there are people that have so much Bitcoin on just one wallet it amounts to an entire month's or two or 3 months worth of Bitcoin being mined, right? So how much does that one person having control over the supply really affect the market more than even the Bitcoin being mined does? And like, we're to the point now where the amount that the mined Bitcoin actually affects the market versus the amount that the people that have control of the supply affects the market is increasing or decreasing, right? So it's being more about an issue of supply control than it is about how much Bitcoin's actually being mined at any given time, right? So I think at some point in time the halving or whatever, the decoupling from the halving is likely to occur. If we're not looking at it now, we might be looking at it in the future. These different consortiums of holders and people agreeing to sell and this, that, and the other thing, right, is going to affect the price of Bitcoin more than somebody receiving 3.5 Bitcoin every now and again, right? Or whatever the thing's at now, was it 3.25 or whatever, 3.5? And with things like that, though, then the markets do become a little more stable, right? They can become more stable, you know what I mean? But and with things like that, though, like tried and true fundamentals, the people that want to stick around and make it through these trials and tribulations and difficult times where normally people, it's like we used to call it in World of Warcraft a loot and scoot, right? Like, well, they got what they wanted, now they're gone, right? It's like, yeah, you want to get rid of as many of those fucking people as humanly possible, right? And unfortunately, the government has not necessarily criminalized that behavior yet. Doesn't mean that they won't, you know what I mean? And I'm friends with people that have been retroactively prosecuted by the Securities and Exchange, people you know, right? Um, Retroactively prosecuted by the Securities and Exchange Commission for things that weren't even against the law at the time. You know, like, it's all they talk about is how much it pisses them off. So when I say that best practices is like the best thing you can possibly do when dealing with these people, because they can and have, and I know people and you know of them that have been retroactively prosecuted by the Securities and Exchange Commission, or referred for prosecution, whatever, however it works, right? And I would say just getting it right now is super uber fucking important, you know what I mean? You know, you know what I mean? I mean, you know of these people, I'm sure of it. So, right, like, this one thing I always, my stance on guidance without being like a professional about the matter is that I think if it makes sense, then it makes sense. You know what I mean? If it doesn't make sense, I say, you know, and I wouldn't suggest you do this, right? I'm just saying my own personal experience. I'm like, if you challenge it, you know what I mean? If you don't think that it's just and doesn't make sense or it's not fair, like, look, they're going to keep, the government is going to take as much authority as you let them have, right? No matter what. Take this all out of it, right? So if you don't believe the shit's just, challenge it as much as you can. Sometimes it's expensive, right? But at the end of the day, under Trump, we've gotten what seems to be a lot more common sense, and like things just seem to be jiving a little better than they were in 2018 and 19 and 20 and all that shit. But then again, like, best practices is common sense. It's how do you apply common sense in a practical manner. Um, what would be like what would be deemed criminal or fraudulent behavior in one sector in traditional finance, if you were to say, well, this is crypto, the laws don't apply here, like, yeah, I guess you can explain that at your trial. Because at some point in time stands the option for the Securities and Exchange Commission to retroactively prosecute you for a law they passed tomorrow, for a crime you didn't commit, into, you know, like, so just mind your P's and Q's about the shit, right? Keep a good track record of all of your good deeds, and just be aware that's how they are, you know. Without me giving out legal advice or any sort of, you know, just be smart. I'm not an expert, obviously. I'm not a lawyer or anything, so consult those people first and foremost. But um,
That's still
and I'm not telling you to like disobey guidance in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that
isn't ready yet.
if you don't agree with it, challenge it, and however you deem that necessary. You know what I mean? Because I was looking up a law the other day. I forget what the guy's name was. Some dick sucker. Forget where he was from, but they were trying to criminalize Bitcoin like 2012 or whatever. Really? Did I just get?
That spell isn't ready yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. It's too far away. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
Did I get ported? How the fuck did I get layered? You fucking kidding me?
That spell isn't ready yet.
Sorry to fucking beat you up in front of your mom and all that, but did I get layered somewhere? Like what the fuck just happened?
That's still recharging.
Fucking loser.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
Like, no, quite literally, we were all just here a second ago. Is that the guy that attacked me?
I can't cast that yet.
Get the fuck out of here. Where did all these people, like, did I fucking, did someone fucking put acid in my coffee? I had a whole,
That spell isn't ready yet.
where did all these fucking 5 or 6 different frost mages all came from out in the middle of nowhere? Where did my friend that was here go? Yeah, look like they have the downs though, don't they? Where did everybody go? Are you all in the same guild? In a guild called Nope? No, these are all different people. These aren't bots. Whatever, dude. Fucking clown car. Anyway. Just show up.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Does this want to respawn ever?
I can't cast that yet. That's
Oh
still
shit.
recharging.
I have a mouse over macro. Were these these guys the ones that were attacking me a second ago? Let's see if we can't find another spot somewhere. Like, where did all the alliance go? Everywhere is overran by Horde currently. What on earth, dude? How much do you pay for a month of WoW to have all these? Is this all the same person? I think it is, dude. I'm not even trying to deal with this shit right now. Yeah, I'm not trying to blow my own horn or anything. I'm just saying, like, as much as there's a cyclic pattern in the markets, there's a cyclic pattern in the way that the government conducts himself too. So, every time there's like feast or famine, right? Like after the feast is when the government swoops in and starts telling everybody like what the fuck to do. So, for all the times in between, just make sure you're conducting yourself accordingly, regardless. You know. Because like, not to say it's a racket, even though I believe believe any sort of government intervention in anything's a racket, but they like to wait till you make your money before they tell you what to do with it, if that makes sense. Like, put it in your mind, like they're the ones robbing a casino. It's like they'd rather do it when there's money in the vault, right? So you might think, oh well, they just do whatever and they'll never fucking come knocking at my door. Like, okay, well wait till after you get paid to see what they do. Really? Fucking another hunter too? About to 2v1 those idiots, that fucking hunter showed up. Oh yeah. I was sitting there farming by those guys that entire time. I think my team showed up though. Oh, I could have health potioned. Shit. Still though. I could have won that. Clear these people out so I can farm here, basically. Motherfucker. is like anybody else on my team, dude? I see all these people on my map. Why aren't they helping? Disley. I guess Disley was helping. Trying to, at least. Well, all these fucking people. God damn it. Anyway. I cannot play those guys all day, but it only does you so good before you fucking run out of Zerg lotion or whatever. Now these fucking guys. There's my chinas. Look at my chinas. Fucking out of the woodwork. Right. Got people fucking server transferring to kill these people. Good God, dude. Can you guys clear out this spot with me so I can farm? Super much appreciate it. I think they got that covered for now. Good, because then those other guys got ballsy here. Look and clear them all out. Now I have the throne. That person's farming, but it's also helpful to have one person that can help me farm.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
See, I need to change it to where my ice lance is the thing that pet attack. Add a
I can't
thing
cast
to
that
it.
yet. Out of range. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Come on now.
I can't cast that yet. I need more mana. That's still recharging.
I don't have. Gotta use a mana potion. That's shitty.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
Coolio. Yes, yes, yes.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. It's still recharging. That's still recharging.
so close to just like 2 frost bolts to kill these things instead of having to have a 3rd frost bolt or an ice lance. I need about 150 more spell damage. I need a better weapon. The Theresium Mind Blade or Magus Blade would be great. And then, I don't know when the next upgrade for a weapon is. Ways away. Black Temple. Black Temple's gonna be so much fun, dude. Such a good instance.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. Beast. I don't have a target.
If I could get my gold up. All these flasks and shit expensive, man. 90 gold each.
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
God damn it.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. My mana is low. That spell isn't ready yet.
Smithers? How many can you farm in a day? Oh, thank you. Remember when we were over there earlier and you were doing this? Like, you followed me over here and now we're doing it? Come on now. How y'all doing?
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
Even with all that spell hit, you got like a 100% chance to hit with Arcane.
That's still recharging.
With this spec and all that. Which is good though, man. Like, now for fucking Gruul and all that, I can really just get stamina. So I got that staff the other day that's got like 30 something hit on it for my weapons, which has a good amount of stats, all the hit I need. I changed my spec to get 8% plus that. Like, there ain't no chance of me getting resisted 1 in 100 or whatever. Which means it's like reduces the chances of wiping from that shit by a whole bunch.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still
Are you fucking
recharging.
serious? God damn it.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
Don't you fucking... Oh shit. I didn't mean to bust out my goddamn ice block.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still
There's
recharging.
3 of them now. Fucking seriously? Yeah, I did not mean to bust out my ice block that early. Shit. I had the wrong thing targeted too. People need to leave me alone. Hey, Squidbilly, whatever the guy here. Remember earlier? You don't have an ice block, do you?
I can't cast that yet.
Thanks for running them Slackjaw ruffians out of town for me, guy.
That's still recharging.
Right. Right. That's the thing, is try to turn any experience into a net positive. You know what I mean? Like, all these things that at some point in time on a traditional resume, everybody would say, like, oh, what's all liabilities? We can't really fucking blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, in all honesty, it's a big dark room, and I know at least what 1/3 of it looks like, you know?
I need more mana.
Um, for what it's worth, right? Pusek. I've gotten over that part of my life where I feel like my past is a hindrance, right? I think I've done enough to prove my point. You know, sometimes things are beyond your control, and there are such things as circumstance and all that other stuff, right? Not to say I'm an expert, but it is like a fucking... It was a costly learning experience, to say the least, and I was vindicated in the end, so that's what matters the most. And based on that, like a really expensive college that you can't fucking that you don't have to sign up for or whatever, right? That's what I like in any time I take a fucking hit in the pocketbook. I'm like, well, it's like an expensive college course then, right? Did you learn something? Yeah, well then, right. trust me, I'm the last person on the planet that wants to have to deal with any of that shit ever again, so.
I can't trust that. That's still recharging. It's too far away. I can't pass that. That spell isn't letting me. I can't pass that. That's still recharging.
What's that thing? What's the fucking goddamn movie, Midgets or whatever? Carnival.
We'll make her one of us. A loving cup, a loving cup. We accept her one of us. We accept her one of us. Gooba gobble, gooba gobble. We accept her, we accept her. Gooba gobble, gooba gobble. One of us, one of us. Gooba gobble. They're going to make you one of them.
Cooper Gobble.
Gooba gobble.
Freaks, movie freaks, dude. Strange ass movie, dude. Such a weird movie. How did they get a fucking how did they get a budget? Like in the 1930s, dude, people were starving to death and eating their fucking shoelaces, and that movie got made. Come on now.
I can't pass that. That spell isn't
That's
letting
my
me.
grandpa used to tell me, like, the depression was so shitty that he remembers people used to panhandle in their fucking suits and all that stuff.
I can't pass that.
Old Grandpa Bernard.
That spell isn't
He's
letting
like,
me.
you didn't fucking. That's how fucking distinguished they were. Like, you can go out and panhandle, wear your suit at least, right?
That's still recharging. I can't pass that.
That was another thing. I had a court hearing one point in time, right? Local fucking shit that I've already talked about all that already. Anyway, I wore a suit to my not my trial, but whatever it was, right?
It's not ready yet.
And I got made fun of by the judge. And the guy had the nerve to sit there and say, like, I'm like, I know when I'm trying to be railroaded, right? I've explained all this before, like what happened and all that. Like, the person I used to work with paid off the cops to break into my home and frame me for a crime that I didn't commit, right? Plain and simple. Well, I show up to court and I'm like, well, I was always told in the past, you know, by lawyers and stuff to dress like it's the most important day of your life because it is. Um, and I show up to court. One of the judges he had paid off or had gotten a payoff or whatever. Sit there. First thing they do when I walk into court, the judge goes, "Well, I had your stack of paperwork here or something, but it must have blown off the dashboard of my truck." I'm like, "Oh, like I'm gonna get fucking railroaded here." And then he started making fun of me for wearing a suit and tie to court. I'm like, I've seen judges tell people to leave the courtroom for not being dressed appropriately. I guess you don't do that here? Fucking people.
I can't pass
Anyway,
that.
like, no, they were all fucking paid goons and paid off and bribed preemptively beforehand and after the fact. You know, I've got all the proof that I need, right?
That's
I have him on camera threatening me, waving a fucking pistol around in my face, all this other stuff, man. Cops. In my home without a warrant, waving a pistol around in my face. And when I get to court, the judge says, well, I had your stack of paperwork, but it must have blown off the dashboard of my truck. I'm like, oh, that's cute. Yeah, I know what it's like to be railroaded. Anyway.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. It's too far away. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. It's still recharging. Cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Anyway. Um,
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
anyway, the piece of shit that did it to me, right, was eventually found hung to death in his cell, right, in prison. So he got what he deserved.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't use that either. I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
have farmed 27 primal fires. I probably want to get to 30, but I might not. Just gotta eat soon. Fucking butt hurts. Not in a good way either. Not in a good way either. Oh. Anyway. That's 28. What time is it? Like 3 or 4? Almost 4. Oh, Rick, it's a moon. got 28. I guess I'm gonna call it. We got 28. Well, that's not that's an even number, dude. OCD.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
Come on now.
I can't cast that yet. My mana is low. That spell isn't ready yet.
Oh.
I don't have a target.
I don't have a guitar pick. Sounds like what she's saying. I don't have a guitar pick. I don't have a guitar pick.
Recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
Just a few more pieces of gear and I'll be able to farm through all this shit super quick.
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready
Come on
yet.
now, really?
Still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. It's not ready. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet. Can't use that yet. That's still recharging.
I just need 13 more pump boats of fire and I'll have 30 of these things and it's like 700 something gold.
That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
the shit attacking me? I no longer have improved blizzards, so yeah, I can't imagine, right? Like how many people this individual had pissed off at some point in time. Like, so like I'm not the only one with stories like this. You know what I mean? In all reality, like the guy took pride in doing shit like doxing CIA agents and all this other stuff. So I mean, like, um, I can't imagine how many people. You said probably good riddance. You know. Fucking figured, right? Eight more motes of fire. Go go Power Rangers. Come on now. Let me get these 8 motes and I can get out of your hair. Oh shit. I didn't even see him there. God damn it. All this shit spawned on top of me. Fuck. there, guy? Oh, lady, I'm gonna hit. Ooh. I don't normally computer this hard, guys. This guy's oh man, I'm computering so hard right now. It's been a while since I've computered this hard. God damn it. Fuck me, running. I got the. How the fuck did I get aggro from that thing? Why did my sheep break? Well, someone said rank 1 sheep. So in PvP, he said rank 1 sheep only. I guess it's less mana and it does the same. Yeah, I didn't know that. PvE reduces the duration, but I guess rank 1 in PvP. Yeah, I don't know. He said rank 1 sheep only. One more modifier. I can get out everybody's hair. Can this be it? Of course not. There we go. Let me run. I'm to go to Iron Forge. Anyway, I'm gonna definitely log after this. Go to sleep. Should you be eating pizza right before you lay down? Yes. The answer is yes. So, welcome to Costco. I love you.